We are Southern Illinois.
Man in motion is Quinn. Give to Chapman. Waits for his blockers. Cuts out to his right and he's in. He's into the end zone. Chandler Chapman rushes across that U in green in that yellow end zone in the Fargo Dome.
It's time for Saluki football. Now, here is the voice of the Salukis, Luke Martin.
Just another week in the Missouri Valley Football Conference as another top 10 team is on the Saluki schedule. Saturday, it will be SIU taking on the 8th-ranked North Dakota Fighting Hawks. With the coach, Pat Poore, alongside Mike Truth. I am Luke Martin. We welcome you in to the Wells Production Studio here on the campus of SIU. Saluki's coming off just a tough loss at number 1 North Dakota State. 45-17 was the final score. And it was a game, guys, that we were pumping up all week long, and deservingly so. Two good teams going at it, and for about 28 minutes and 50-ish seconds on Saturday, we had the type of game that we expected. It was a tie game at 10. Both teams were trading blows, but ultimately the turnovers, guys, that was the biggest difference in the game. SIU had 3 of them, and North Dakota State capitalized with 21 points off those 3 turnovers, Mike.
Yeah, it's amazing. We talked all week long about they didn't have to play perfect, meaning Southern didn't have to play perfect to win the game, but if they turned the ball over, it had to be in situations that wasn't going to just kill them. And 2 out of the 3 turnovers absolutely killed them. They had opportunities for points. Both of those turnovers, one of them likely would have given them the last points of the first half. You'd go into halftime with the lead. Who knows what happens after that? Just so critical of when they came. And through 6 games now, North Dakota State's regular starters still do not have a turnover.
Yeah, and you look at it from a coaching standpoint, you always go back through that game in your head, and there's 5 or 6 plays that determine which way it swings. And I think I used the term last week, woulda, coulda, shoulda, what if, and boy, did that come to fruition. And, but I walked off that field, and if I would have been on staff, I would have had the mindset of, I'd like to play it again. Like you said, Luke, 28 minutes, it was just what we talked about. And, we did things that we'd been doing, minus a couple of, little assignment things that, we didn't score on the opening drive and some things like that. But it truly came down to 6 or 7 plays that happened in that game that really swung it, and in crucial times, where, we talked all week about momentum and confidence and trust, and, all of a sudden, kind of like getting mossed, we got bisoned, at the Dome. You knew that's what they were capable of doing, and by God, they did it.
I think that's where it really starts and ends, is you give credit where credit is due. North Dakota State, there's only so much that you can do to publicize them, because they publicize their own in terms of their numbers. And I get it. It's hard when you've won as many games as they have, which after their first 3 years in the league, which we said they had a losing record in the league. It was something around 10-14. Now with the win on Saturday against the Salukis, they're 114 in their last 114 Valley games. When you are that good, that's why a lot of their local media, et cetera, is very probably nitpicky within their games. I'm telling you, Cole Payton, Bryce Lance, it's going to be hard to find a better quarterback receiver type combo offensively, mixing in with all their other weapons. They played a clean football game, and not just a clean football game. They are more than deserving of the number 1 ranking in the country.
Yeah, Cole Payton played as near perfect a game as you could play as a quarterback. His throws were never in danger of being even broken up. He put it only where Lance or whoever he was throwing to could catch the ball. If it was an out route, it was out and way out where only Bryce Lance was going to make the catch. The touchdown in the end zone where Bryce ran that pattern and then got back shoulder, you can't cover that any better than we covered that play. But the pass was perfect, thrown way before he made his cut, coming back to the ball, and it was right there. And you just can't ask any more of your quarterback. And he ran when he needed to. He got that long back touchdown run as well when he cut back and scored. He's really, really good.
Yeah, all the things that you were alluding to, he played the position. You know, there were a couple times early in that game, we lose contain on him. He gets out and it's like, oh, here it comes. You know, he's dangerous. He made decisions where he ate the ball. And you know, and then it was kind of like, hey, win for us. You know, we're keeping him, you know, kind of like what I talked about, like make him prove he can stay in the pocket and throw and throw and throw. And then, you know, that scramble he had, I was down in that end zone and he ran by me. And I was like, if this guy doesn't get a shot at quarterback, he could darn sure be a Taysom Hill type guy, because he is put together and every bit as fast as what everybody said. I mean, he's, you know, and you know, we talked about it last week from an opponent standpoint. You try and take the emblems off the helmets and third level guy. It's like going in the SEC, going and playing Alabama, you know, or, you know, being in the, you know,
Want to play Ohio State.
Yeah.
The Big Ten.
Yeah. You know, it's got that aura and feel to it. And again, credit to them. They continue to, you know, they didn't turn the ball over again, you know, and it's like, that's one of the things you gotta create those and take advantage of them when you get the opportunity. And like we talked about, the explosive plays and the turnovers, I mean, really came to fruition in that game, you know, and score wise, you know, it wasn't that type of a game. I mean, it was still a contested game. And I walked off that field. We have a good football team and proved it out for 28 minutes. And that was kind of the thing going in. I said, you got to do that for 60 minutes against them to put yourself in a position to have a chance.
I think that's what speaks volumes about where North Dakota State is at, is so many people think when you think of those numbers that we bring up, and they are very gaudy numbers and can be intimidating numbers when you're going up against it, but it's not like they are extremely sexy all the time in everything that they do. It's like you guys mentioned, their one turnover is an interception thrown by their backup quarterback. I think they've only put the football on the ground. I think they only have 3 fumbles on the year. They recovered them all. And I did not go through to see who those fumbles were and where they were and when they came in the game. But again, they follow their game plan to a T, and that is a big tip of the cap to Coach Polisek that he's kept it rolling. And that's what's been so remarkable about the run, is all of the different men who have had their chance to lead that program, going all the way back to Craig Bull, to, of course, Coach Kleiman, who's now currently at Kansas State, Coach Entz, who's currently at Fresno State, and now what Coach Polisek is doing.
And the old adage, big time players make big time plays in big time games. And, you know, I mean, seeing it live, not just last week, but over a period of years, I mean, they just always have those guys, you know, the Lance kid, I mean, quarterback threw a beautiful, I mean, good coverage, threw a beautiful ball, great catch, the back shoulder for the touchdown. I mean, that's Mahomes, Kelsey like. I mean, you have to have that type of rapport and worked at that a bunch. And then even defensively, you know, you saw it, you know, and defensively, we had them where we wanted them several times, at least in the first half, a couple times in the second half, we had them in third and long where we wanted. And all of a sudden Peyton makes a play, you know, he gets out, scrambles, whatever. And, you know, that's just that's hard to play complementary football against a team like that when they can counterpunch what you're doing well.
And give credit to SIU too, where Mike, I mean, we were all there at the game when Bryce Lance took that football 75 yards. I mean, it sent that place into a frenzy. It was kind of one, we knew that the Saluki defense, the question was, how could they get stops that day? And man, when you get punched like that from the get-go, and Bryce Lance went untouched 75 yards. It wasn't just the fact that it was like he was banging in the Salukis on his way to the end zone. I mean, he went untouched. I mean, that checks your character. And what did the Saluki defense do? They responded with 2 straight punts, gave the offense a chance. You know, Mike, we were talking about practice earlier this week. And I think it deserves recognition, is the difference in Southern's running game from last year to this year. And look, we know, again, I mean, I feel like this is a rinse and repeat ordeal. We understand the injuries. We understand that obviously DJ was a huge part of the rushing offense a year ago. But just comparing last year, 274 yards rushing, lost last season. 187 of them were via sacks. So 87 yards that were lost by non-sacks. You go through 21 yards by one running back, 19 yards by another. You look at this year, There is only 6 lost yardage by a running back this year for SIU. That's 83 via the sack of the 97 yards lost. Last year, a leading rusher ended the year with 281 yards on the year. DJ's already over that. Chandler Chapman's right at 247, so he's close. Eddie Robinson within striking distance at 201, and LaShawn Lester, who's been hurt the last 2 weeks, he's just a little bit below 200 at 186. Saluki running game got better, and to build off of what Coach Poor said last week, against a team like North Dakota State, and same thing against North Dakota, their numbers are very even with NDSU in terms of their rushing defense. You got to be able to celebrate just those 3-yard gains throughout the game, and man, the Saluki rushing offense has been right there.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with the line the last several weeks. And we talked about it earlier with Noah Fensky being at his normal position of center and then filling in around him with those other guys. They have really come together as a group. And yes, we lost Coleon, but Blaine came right in and filled in and played well against North Dakota State. Now, there's a sophomore playing against a junior or a senior at North Dakota State. And we know that not only is it an age difference, but it's a monetary difference as well, because North Dakota State's NIL is much, much greater than Southern Illinois' football NIL money. And our line held their own and then some. And I was just really impressed that when we had to run the ball, we did. I don't think that, 2 years ago, we did get a rushing touchdown, I believe, in that game, Roe Elliott. Yeah. And it was a 6, 7, 8, 9-yard run. And Chandler had that really nice run for the touchdown. But we had several of those 6, 7, 8-yard runs in the ball game that were just really, really well done, and not all on the running back. They had some pretty good lanes.
Yeah, and I think the bigger piece of that is just seeing the sync of everybody involved in the run game. We've had some explosive runs. That doesn't happen unless you've got receivers downfield blocking safeties and things like that. And the fact that it hasn't been necessarily all put on one type of running play. We've done a good job of gap scheme runs. We've done a good job with zone runs. We've done a good job with zone read. Obviously DJ getting a lot of attention. And I think just that whole fix over the spring and through camp of we've got to be able to situate. And I talk every week, especially early down production in the run game, because it just puts you in those manageable situations, and then the playbook's open. And that's kind of who we are offensively, is that ability, like, hey, they're tough to prepare for. Really tough to prepare for. And like you said, now another tough team to prepare for this weekend with North Dakota coming in, the Flying Hawks. They were ranked 8th in the most recent poll. The FCS committee came out as well, and they were in the top 10 in those polls. Came out ranked 8th. DJ Davis, a familiar face to those here in Carbondale, going to be at some point in time. I'd be shocked if he's not going to be in the Saluki Hall of Fame for what he did as a running back here at SIU. But now he's a coach at North Dakota. And man, they have just been off to a really good start this year. There is a good argument to be made. This team could very easily be 6-0. Yeah. Just a few handful of plays from their one possession losses against Montana on the road and Kansas State on the road.
Yeah. You look at them on film and there's not a lot of holes in their game. They can run the ball. Kaminsky, who is Kaminsky? And he's a phenomenal young sophomore quarterback who's done everything that they've needed him to do and is now being mentioned with those guys. This is such a good quarterback league now, more so than it was, 4 or 5 years ago. There are elite players at quarterback on all these teams. They're running the ball better than 5 yards a carry. Their defense is strong. They are really difficult to run against. So it's another really, really strong Missouri Valley Conference team that if you're not playing your best brand of football, you're going to struggle. Yeah, I would say a really well-built roster. When you look at them up front in the offensive line, they look the part. 3 good backs, the quarterback you alluded to, playing at a high level for a young player. And then receiver wise, they've got depth there. They've got several guys with multiple catches, explosive catches. And then on defense, I call them a hybrid defense. They've got 5, 6 guys in there that can play
multiple type positions in terms of rush end, edge, safety, outside backer. That allows them to give you a lot of multiple looks. And, just the whole thing offensively is there. You said it earlier, very similar how they're built offensively. The ability to get the ball out on the perimeter to talented guys, run the ball when they need to, be explosive at times, and the quarterback always being a factor in all of that.
And just one game out of 6 under 35 points scored. So they're a very efficient and proficient offense.
And again, their losses were 3 points against Kansas State, 1 point Montana. So, I mean, and then you look at their wins, their 4 wins, those games really haven't been close either.
No, forget about it.
It has been when they have had those games to put away. It's been remarkable. And we mentioned DJ Davis. He's going to be making his return to Saluki Stadium on Saturday. And guess what? He makes his return to the Saluki radio crew as we interview him here on the podcast. And we got a lot of fist bumps from this guy when he was a GA, which was year 1 for me here in Carbondale in 2023. And all he has done is just continue to blossom in his coaching career. Now he's in the midst of what's been a really fun season for the Fighting Hawks as they will come this weekend to Carbondale and Saluki Stadium, where this guy ran over everybody in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. And now he's coaching them up there in North Dakota. It is the always smiling DJ Davis who joins us. DJ, it's so good to see that smile, brother. Coach Davis, how's the year been? I mean, look, we could see it from afar. You guys are playing so well coming into this weekend. How has it been for you just their first year, surrounded by a lot of familiar faces who are used to Carbondale as well?
Absolutely, Luke. It's been great, honestly. When you come into this thing, you know how it is when it's a new coaching staff and all of that things. You got to get a group of guys that, still want to believe into, the program, and then also the new culture that's coming in. And then also, different faces that they're not used to seeing. So I applaud, honestly, our guys, man. They've done a great job since January, February, when we first got here and got this staff together. And these guys have been doing an unbelievable job of just trusting the process, taking things day by day, and just, trusting these coaches and us coaches, honestly, to put them in the best situations to succeed on and off the field. So I applaud the guys that's in the locker room, man. They've been doing a great job. And honestly, it's always a blessing, man, when you have the opportunity to coach in the Valley, Division I football, and all of those things. It's truly a blessing. And honestly, it's no words that put it in pinpoint to describe it and things of that sort. So it's been great.
Coach Hill talked about a lot earlier this week, DJ, of when you reached out to him about this opportunity and called him and said, hey, here are some pointers. Here are some things. Yeah, he's, man, just be DJ Davis. Like, you're going to be all right.
Absolutely.
Take us through of like when the opportunity presented itself for you, DJ, because you are still a very young coach, but man, the impact that you have on any staff and team is remarkable. So when this opportunity, how did it kind of come into fruition for you of a possible situation for you in terms of your coaching trajectory?
So honestly, Coach Frickley, the offensive coordinator, he ended up reaching out to myself, and he also knows, some guys and, that had relationships with myself. And then also Coach Olsen being on staff, he kind of put my name in the bucket, in the hat, and things of that sort. So that's how it kind of came about. And as soon as I heard about it, I reached out to some mentors of mine, Coach Hill and Coach Griff included as well. Just, talking with those guys and asking for their opinions and things of that sort. Because like you said, I'm a young coach. I'm still figuring it out. So I don't have everything. I don't have all the answers. So I wanted some advice from guys that have coached at this level in the Valley and things of that sort to see what they thought and, took it from there, of course. Then I started praying on it, thinking about it, and it all makes sense.
Yeah, I wanted to, tell you how proud of you that I am, because you're truly doing what you were made to do. You got the package, and you've done it from the bottom, fighting and scratching, working here, working there. I think I still go back to, I asked Coach Hill one time, you were driving a truck and playing in the spring league for Coach Mummy and trying to figure life out, man. But you're in a situation there that I was in a couple times. You got a talented room of guys there, as far as just how to manage that room. You got 3 backs that kind of, they're all bell cows, so to speak. Just, you being a relationship guy, that's something I wanted to ask you about is, how that's been, being new to that room with those guys and, that's not easy. You're trying to keep everybody happy and involved and productive.
Yeah.
As a young coach, you're in a spot right there, a little bit, a good spot.
Yeah. It's funny, Coach Porter, when we installed like some 20 personnel stuff a couple weeks ago, I was the happiest man alive because I get to have two players on the field.
Let's go to the wishbone. Get all three of them in there.
Honestly, man, but you know how it is. It's one of us on the field at one time, and there's only one ball to go around and things of that sort. But honestly, coming in and creating the atmosphere, the family and the selfless atmosphere, I should say, for the entire room has kind of helped that trajectory, or kind of changed the trajectory of those mindsets. And honestly, I tell those guys all the time, like, when it's your time to get your opportunity, you got to make the most of it. And then when you're on the sideline and your brother is out there, you better be the biggest cheerleader that's in the stadium, whatever stadium we're playing in. So these guys have done an unbelievable job of not only being selfless, but also transitioning to helping each other as well. Like, some guys have strengths and some guys, have weaknesses, and they're working on things, trying to get better at, what does such and such do that I need to get better at, or what do I do well that such and such is trying to get better at, and I can help them out in things of that sort. So honestly, to answer your question, Coach Porter, just creating an atmosphere and just having a selfless love in the room within the guys, and expressing like that we need everybody. You know how it is in the Missouri Valley as far as being able to run the football, and you got to be able to stop the run as well. So it's kind of rare you're going to get a guy that's going to be able to tote it 25 times and 30 times a game and still be good in the playoffs and things of that sort, as far as things that we have planned for the future. So we're going to need everybody, and then also everybody has to be involved whenever we start getting into some different personnel packages, and then everybody got to be able to play special teams as well and continue to add value to the teams and that sort. So just the atmosphere, and then also challenging these guys to not only be, tailbacks, but also how can I affect, the entire team, whether I'm playing special teams or whether we get into some personnel stuff to where I can align up in a slot receiver and do some things there.
Well, you're doing a good job because good players are a reflection of their coach, and those guys show up on film and do everything that you just talked about.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Hey, DJ, you talk about trying to share the wealth a little bit, and you've got three guys with 40 plus carries. Then you've got Seidel who's got 60. So you're doing something right. Is it something that you guys are conscious of the number of carries, or do you go with the hot hand, or how do you spread the wealth? And I don't mean that everybody has to be happy. That's not your job to make them happy, but you've probably been able to by doing that. Is there a scheme to how you distribute those carries?
I mean, honestly, being a former running back, you got to go with the hot hand. That's going to change at times. And then also some of our backs, of course, they're working each and every day on things that they need to get better at, but some might have strengths and strengths towards the game plan that might be in for this week. So they might have a little bit more opportunities when it comes to that sort. But I challenge these guys to be every down back. So I don't really want to get into that, schematic of things, because I want them to be good at everything as far as, being able to pass protect, run routes. And then also I can run outside zone, inside zone. I'm good at do all the things that we're asking them to do and things of that sort. So it's kind of a mixture of schematics-ish, and then also knowing who has the hot hand when we get in those situations in those games.
Now you got to be honest with me, DJ. Sawyer's got the most carries because he wears number 9, right? That's got to be the reason.
Come on. Be honest. You're shooting from the hip, DJ.
So prior to the season, when he told me he was changing his number to 9, I was like, ain't that something? I was just cracking up, man.
You got to love that number.
Absolutely.
Look, we know in this league, right? I mean, you talk about running the football, you got to run it with that right mentality, and that's what your room does. But tell us, we know what DJ Williams means internally here, and just his command, the leadership, all the things that not really opposing coaches can see. What do you guys see in Jerry Kaminsky on a daily level that has not surprised you guys to see the level that he has been producing at? And to be quite honest, he's not a name that gets brought up a ton throughout the league, but you look at his numbers, he is right there with the top and the elite quarterbacks in this league.
Honestly, Luke, the work that he puts in, man, and first and foremost, I want to applaud the type of person that he is as far as his characteristics. Of course, he's a leader, he's vocal. You have to be at that position, but he's also like humble to the soul as far as him just wanting what's best for the team when it comes to certain situations. Like, hey, let's go ahead and hand this thing off to one of the backs or, dish it out to our playmaker. Like, he doesn't care about the stacks or anything of that sort. He just want to win football games. And speaking on his hard work, just the amount of hours that he puts in as far as meeting with our offensive coordinator, who's also the quarterback coach, and just the amount of film that he wants to dive into, and just how intentional he is with diving into the game plan, things of that sort. So it's all about his preparation, because at the end of the day, you got to prepare, well in this game to be able to play well on Saturday. So it's applauding of who he is as a person, because I know him as a human, and then also his preparation that goes into this thing before Saturdays even come about.
And you can't average 5 yards a carry as a team without the offensive line doing what they're doing up front. And
Oh yeah.
looking at them on film the last couple of ball games, they're getting some holes for your guys.
Absolutely. I'm always a fan of the big boys up front, man. And honestly, it's everybody involved, man. It's the offensive line, the tight ends, the receivers, even the quarterback, as far as those guys having to respect him in the run game as well. Whenever we get into some RPO opportunities, and then also some zone read stuff that he has the opportunity to, have the ball in his hands as well. So it's everybody included, man, but definitely applaud the guys up front, man. I'm always a big fan. I want to, if I could, I'd pay those guys every week some meals and things of that sort. There's just too many of them.
DJ, you're working with some great dudes. I know a lot of them, coached them or worked with them, but new staff, first time head coach and Schmitty, the staff dynamic. Talk to us a little bit about that, and just in terms of putting that together in a relatively short time, and just, kind of the core principles that, from the head coach down through you guys, getting passed on to the players.
Absolutely. Like you said, starting from the top with Coach Schmidt, man, like he's a guy that has a vision, he has a plan, and he's very demanding of the players, and then also of the coaches as well, in the good way, in the most respectful way as well, because he's demanding of himself. Like, he has to be on top of his stuff, for his staff to be, and then also for his players. But he's very demanding. He's going to hold everybody accountable. He holds himself accountable, and things of that sort, knowing, everybody's not perfect or nobody's perfect in his world, and things of that sort. So he does a lot of, just accountability things, whether it's with the players and then also the coaches. And then, like I said, he has a vision, and he had this vision since, January, has a plan and things of that sort, and is sticking with it. So he does a great job, and also just the turnaround that he's getting from the community, the support and all that stuff is helping him, do the things that he has, talking about the vision that I just spoke about. But, can't do it without everybody, as far as the whole staff, and then also the community has been an amazing support and a part of this success as well. But Coach Schmidt, he's awesome. And then, like you said, everybody else on staff, man, he's pieced everybody together, put this thing together. And honestly, we all have the same goal in mind, the same mission and vision that I just talked about with him. We all have it in mind as well. And honestly, we talk about egos. Nobody have egos in the building. Like, we all about, success and putting our guys in the best situations, no matter if it's me coming up with an idea, a graduate assistant coming up with an idea, or the head man coming up with an idea. Whatever is best fitting for the team and allow this program to succeed is what we're going to go with.
So you're still getting along with my man Frichty.
Oh yeah,
because you can ask him. I had some hard conversations with OC back in the day.
That's my guy, man.
Great dude. Great.
Oh yeah,
dude.
absolutely.
DJ, look, there's always things when you're on our side of it. You can send out all these different clips from practice or different interviews, and those that get a lot of traction, there's always a reason why. And what I'm alluding to is whenever we do anything with Coach Griff, the amount of former players that always respond and show their support for him, just that says all you need to know about the man he is, which obviously, Coach Poor, Mike, all of us, we we get to see it on a daily basis. For you, what was the one thing you took away as a player under Coach Griff that has helped shape you now into a coach that you still hold on a daily basis?
Honestly, that I meant more than just a football player to him. You talk about having experiences for 4 years throughout colleges. I had some ups, had some downs. And it's an experience that I'll never forget as far as just a situation where my grandfather passed away when I was a junior at SIU. And you talking about they got the phone call before me, and Coach Hill and Coach Griff showed up to the house, showed up to my apartment. And I got on the phone call with my family. They told me the news, and I'm talking about like the unbelievable support that I had, not only from Coach Griff, but Coach Hill, and then also the rest of the staff, like everybody on staff, and Coach Poor included. Everybody on staff was all aboard, and gave me all the support that I needed. But Coach Griff, man, he always loved me more than just a football player, man, and I'll never forget that, and I carry that deep because that's the type of relationships that I want to have with not only my players, but shoot, everybody that I come across in life. Like I don't want, for somebody just to give me something or not, seeking a reward from somebody or anything like that. I want them to know that I truly care about them and, they have unbelievable love and support from DJ Davis, no matter if it's on the field, off the field, whatever the case is. Like that's what he showed me as a player, as a human being, as a person, and I carry that deeply with me because at the end of the day, man, my goal, being a coach, of course, you want these guys to succeed on the field, but at the end of the day, these guys gonna be husbands, they're gonna be fathers, they're gonna be, guys that that they're gonna have to support families and be providers of their own. So I want them to succeed in that aspect of their life as well.
DJ, you put so much blood, sweat, and tears into this program here and did phenomenal. Everybody remembers the name DJ Davis. And if for some reason Steve Fallett says, and assistant coach DJ, you may get the standing ovation at the stadium Saturday. But I'm assuming there will be a few extra butterflies in the gut when you come back for this one and maybe make a wrong turn here or there to the visitor versus the home locker room. So have you talked to Travis? Because Travis coached there a lot and coached here a lot. So he's done the back and forth.
Mhm.
But for you, is it going to be just a little bit of a different feeling this weekend?
Honestly, that's not something I've given a little thought into it, but not much. I know I'm more so just being where my feet are, and I'm gonna take all the emotions in when that time does come on Saturday. I know it's gonna be a special one. It's just funny how, God work, how life work, as far as the full circle moment, always being on that home sideline, whether it was a football player or whether it was on the coaching staff and having to be on the opposing side, man. So it's gonna be like I said, it's gonna come with some emotions and some feelings and things of that sort. But like I said, I haven't really put much thought into it, just being where my feet are, trying to get these guys to be prepared as possible before we end up getting to Saturday. And then when Saturday comes, I'm gonna deal with it, handle it properly.
DJ, it's one of these things. I don't mean this to come across as, to insult, fan bases in this way. But what I'm getting to is the point that you just made is you don't really, when you get into the business, you don't fall in love with the logo. You fall in love with the people.
Absolutely.
And obviously, a lot of those people that are here at SIU are still here that coached you and were a big impact for you. But why I love doing these interviews and why we try to get a representative on each and every week, we were unable to do that last week with the previous program that we played, is to try to really make sure that, look, like these are human beings.
Absolutely.
Understand that, hey, come Saturday, everybody that's wearing maroon is going to want the team that is wearing the blackout uniforms on Saturday to come out on top. But at the same standpoint is you're not going up against the evil empire, of people of personality. So I ask you this of, look, everything you just said and talked so highly of Coach Griff, Coach Hill, and even there's guys that you were GA, obviously here in 23 on a good team that are still here and playing on that defensive side that you'll see on Saturday. What about how Coach Schmidt is, that staff that really says, man, these dudes are really wired like how Coach Hill and this staff and how we've been accustomed to getting to know them, how they're wired here. It's very similar to how they're wired there in North Dakota.
Honestly, the background that these guys have, like some of these guys been at Washington when they played in the national championship a few years ago. You're talking about Coach Haug, our tight ends coach, who was at Wyoming for a long time, and then he's also was at NDSU. I believe they won a national championship when he was there. Coach Frichty, he played at a high level at the Minnesota Vikings and some other places as well. But just the background of these guys, and then also like the hunger. And I don't know if I'm if I'm just saying this because it's the valley and things of that sort, but a lot of these guys do have, experience in the valley and have the mindset to, not only want to be a good, successful program, but want to essentially go win the valley, just knowing, what that entails for the rest of your season, what that entails the rest of your season, what it looked like and things of that sort when you do win the valley. But a lot of same like-minded, similar-minded people that's here as far as very family oriented guys that love their guys and pour into them each and every day, whether it's on or off the field, and then ultimately just want the best for the program. And like I said, as far as not having those egos, a lot of the guys like at SIU, same here. It's not guys that have egos, man. Just leave your egos at the door. They do a great job of it at SIU and then also here as well. And essentially just want the best for the program, man.
DJ, I know it's one of those things, as Mike alluded to. Look, there's always going to be obvious emotions for you on Saturday, but it's also got to mean a lot to you as a player that this game matters.
Oh, yeah.
It not just matters because you guys are off to a tremendous start. Your 2 losses could have very easily been wins. North Dakota could easily be sitting at this point 6-0 on the year. And it matters because the Salukis have played well. What it means to you to look at your alma mater on film this week, and not that you look at it exactly in that way, but you're going, man, the former player, and he's like, this is a good football team that you guys get to play on Saturday. And what that means to you, that look, it would always mean special to you, but it means more. This is going to be a big time game between 2 top 15 teams.
Absolutely, man. Honestly, it's the same thing each and every week. Like we're not really playing, we're playing a faceless opponent. Of course, we're gonna know the guys on the opposing side and things of that sort, but that's more so the message to the guys. And then also I have to reciprocate or have that same mindset that I'm giving to my guys as well, as far as me having the ideal or mindset, like we're playing a faceless opponent. That's a great team on offense, on defense, and then also in the kicking game as well. So we got to be our best on Saturday in order to win another tough football game. And then we know, like it is, like I mentioned before, we're playing in the Valley, so it's gonna be each and every week that you got to have that 1-0 mindset. But it's not going to be given to you. You got to go earn a win. So I know it's another great opponent that we're facing. Like I said, not necessarily, more so we're worried about the logo or who we're playing and things of that sort. Of course, we're going to know the guys across, but at the end of the day, we got to go out there and get a win.
I know I can speak for Coach Poor and Mike and really everyone here, DJ. There have been a lot of great people who have worked here at SIU. It's hard to get higher than DJ Davis. And what obviously you meant to all of us here. So it's going to be great to have you here on Saturday. We really look forward to seeing your football team and the Fighting Hawks coming in on Saturday. It's going to be a fun one. We hope that you can do some like DJ Davis magic and keep this weather away that looks like it's looming. But outside of that, it's going to be great to see you, DJ. We appreciate the time, brother. So great to see that smile.
Man, appreciate you guys, man. Love you guys always. And I'm ready to see you guys on Saturday.
Well, looking at Saturday's game, and first and foremost, thank you, DJ, for taking time to join us. Just a tremendous, we said it to him. I've been blessed to work with 2 great men here to my right, part of our Saluki radio crew. And you get around guys who just have that different vibe in a very good way. DJ's one of them. I know it came out in the interview. It's going to be hard to see him in that green this weekend. It's on Saturday.
And it's got to be tough as a first or second year coach at this level to mold yourself into a program with the staff that he has molded himself into. But that's DJ. I don't want to say he's a chameleon type, but he has such a spirit that he brings with him that I can imagine how the interview went with Coach Smitty and whoever may have sat in on it. And at probably 3 or 4 minutes into the interview, they already knew he was going to be hired, and we just kind of have to get through the formalities.
Yeah, it's crazy. You coach, I've coached a ton of kids, and it's like every once in a while one comes along and it's just like, like I told him, super proud to see he's doing what he probably was meant to do. Call it the it factor, whatever. It's like, that kid is going to be a good football coach if that's what he chooses to do. And DJ is going to be good at whatever he does, but he's doing exactly what he was meant to do.
Well, let's talk about the game, and we'll get into their team, but I do want to talk about the one thing that we mentioned, the DJ towards the end. Again, we record this on Wednesday. It comes out on Wednesdays. The weather does not look good right now, and not just in terms of rain. There is a high chance of thunderstorms on Saturday. We really hope the thunderstorms does not come to fruition, because that means lightning, which gets into all the different areas. And we don't need to bring up that night in San Antonio against Incarnate Word with both of you guys. But in all reality, Coach Bohr, kind of take us a little bit under the hood when it comes to what Coach Hill and the program do. We talk about it right now. I know that the team, et cetera, is not going to focus a ton on it, but of when is the time that you guys as coaches try to come up with any sort of plan of, look, this is what it's looking like could be, just to try to have any sort of contingency plans of, hey, to be ready for those moments whenever they come. Football, the weather, you're going to have to deal with that. It's more of the stuff that you can't really control, but you try to be prepared for.
Right. No, it's always something that it's part of the preparation for a game that, like, hey, we may be looking at bad weather, and you do have some, smaller menus depending on what it actually is. I know we always addressed the delay situations, whether that was before a game, mid game, how are you going to handle that? What are you going to do with your players? Get them started back up once you go back out, all that type of stuff is actually dealing with the elements. You pretty much week to week have your ball handlers, do some wet ball drill, unless you're playing indoors, but, you do some things like that, but you also, in the back of your mind, it's like, they got to play in it too, and it's not a chase and ghost type thing where it's like, oh my God, we got to change the game plan because we're playing in rain,
No doubt.
But there are some things that you talk about and address and tweak a little bit, as far as like, hey, it may be one where, hey, it's blowing sideways and, we ain't going to be throwing the football. Is like, what's our go-tos, and I've been in some of those games, it's, you're on a grass field and it's raining sideways and it's 6-3, and you're just hoping that, you can get the ball snapped, held, and kick. Yeah. One of those. And a lot of that goes back to just kind of those core principles of who your team is and how they reflect top down. And again, I would say these two teams are very similar in terms of, hey, that's that adversity we talk about. You're going to have to play in it. And, how do you adjust? How do you respond to that? And I think that's probably the bigger piece, is just the response to whatever weather you might get dealt, how you respond to that.
Look, and we know, being in Southern Illinois, the weather changes by the day. So hopefully come maybe Friday, the day before, about 24 hours out, that yes, it gets a little bit more clear. Hopefully everybody looks back on this and be like, man, Luke, what the heck were you talking about the weather on Wednesday? But
it'd be a great thing to talk about.
It would be. There's no question about it. All right, let's get into the game. I do feel like Mike and Pat last week, what was so much of the conversation, man, great quarterback battle. DJ Cole Payton. It's another really good quarterback battle. And I don't know if we're not the mouthpiece for the league, but there are so many really quarterbacks playing at a high level in the Missouri Valley Football Conference this year. And what Kaminsky's doing, tip of the cap to him, and to do it as a young player, as a sophomore right now on the roster. Kaminsky's been terrific. He's been able to run the football. He's been able to throw it. This is another really good quarterback battle, and you hope, again, the weather can allow the game to really showcase the skill of both these quarterbacks that we know in DJ and Kaminsky.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch. Watching Kaminsky on film, he's fun to watch. He is good in the pocket. And remember, he's just a sophomore. I mean, he's got poise. He doesn't seem to put the ball in danger too often. He makes smart plays, is good on the RPO, has good rushing yardage, has almost the same amount of attempts as DJ does, and they have almost the same amount of rushing attempts. I mean, the teams, looking at overall stats, these are mirror images almost of each other on offense and what each team wants to do when they have the football. So Kaminsky, DJ is probably the more athletic of the two, Kaminsky is maybe more of a drop back passer, but he's got that ability to make that RPO and get those yards when he needs to. It's really going to be fun to watch them go back and forth.
Yeah, I wrote down moxie. He you see some moxie out of him when you watch him on film. You know, his numbers are good, 61% completion, 17 touchdowns to 1 interception.
That's the amazing.
He's, you know, he's playing the position well. He's taking care of the football. And, you know, and as far as quarterback battles, that's kind of our game right now. You know, those quarterbacks are so involved in the spread offenses that, you know, it's almost got to be that guy is vital to how good you're going to be offensively. And, you know, both guys, you know, are doing it at a high level, but he's an impressive kid, in my opinion, just from the way he runs their offense, leads their unit, and, you know, by the plays that he makes, the decisions that he makes. And some of that too is in some key situations. I mean, he's been in some ball games. I mean, you're playing up at K-State and he makes some tremendous plays in some key situations.
Well, 2 key offensive weapons for him. We were joking with him, of course, that the reason they're giving the ball to Sawyer Seidel so much is because, man, he wears number 9. He is their leading rusher, but also Mr. Fleming is going to be an outstanding receiver as well, Mike being their leading receiver.
BJ Fleming has almost twice as many catches as anybody else on their receiver roster. Not quite, but pretty close. He is phenomenal. He can go deep on you. He runs great routes. I didn't see him drop a ball in the 2 games that I watched. He gets the ball. They go to him in key situations, and everybody knows they're going to him in those key situations, and they still execute the plays. That's what I find so amazing about the quarterback receiver group that just hone in on each other. Those, it's just like Lance and Cole Payton. Everybody knows when Lance, and you still can't stop it. He runs great patterns. The ball's right there. Same thing with Fleming and this quarterback Kaminsky. They're just really in sync with each other.
Yeah, and a little background on the Fleming kid. You know, he's from Aledo, Texas. Aledo High School is a multiple state champion program, and that kid's DNA is competitiveness, play at the highest level, you know, catch every ball. Next rep's the most important rep. And you can see that it's pretty natural between him and the quarterback that's just the kind of player that kid has been and is at this point.
Looking at their defense, one of the biggest reasons why they've been so much improved, Lance Rucker has just been outstanding. I think 7 tackles for loss, 5 sacks on the year. He has just wreaked havoc, a guy up there on that defensive line. This is a much improved North Dakota defense. Again, their rushing numbers on the year. You look at a year ago from a defensive standpoint, they allowed almost 200 yards on the ground per game. I believe right at 187. This year, under 100 yards a game. And again, that's playing some pretty good competition and teams that like to run it, including Youngstown State last week with a dual threat quarterback in Brumgard.
Yeah, under 3 yards per attempt against this defense, that's elite. You keep people from under, because as an offense, if you get 3 yards a carry, that sets you up in third down and really reasonable, you know, down in distance for that time. They're playing really well. I was really impressed with the linebacker Malachi McNeil.
Yeah.
All over the field, and he can go sideline to sideline, and he is lightning quick.
Can you do that again? What was the?
Yeah, he was, man, and we saw the same thing. I mean, he makes some plays on film that's just like out of a cannon. I mean, he can cover some ground, and you know, some of that Schmitty's DNA. You know, he's a defensive guy, and he's coached all those positions, and they're really good on the edges. You know, they're a 4 down front, but they give you a ton of looks, a lot of multiple 5-man front looks. And they really do a good job with their safeties, their outside backer, their nickels, playing multiple type positions, whether they're on the line of scrimmage, they're at backer level, or they're fitting from the secondary. And I think that's the magic elixir, is to be able to be in the right play against those looks. And, you know, and they've got the whole pressure package to go with it. And, you know, another game where DJ is going to have to be really good at, you know, identifying what what they're in, get us in the right play, make them show their cards when they're playing man, when they're bringing pressure, when they're playing zone, all those type of things.
I see a lot of similarities, and you as a coach would know better than anybody, of Coach Schmidt and Coach Mack.
Yes.
Here on our ball club,
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
fiery,
innocent,
but
aggressive,
accountable,
aggressive,
aggressive. I see so much of both of them in each other.
Yeah.
Well, this is a very important game for obvious reasons. Both of these teams, North Dakota, they're trying to continue to position themselves. As we mentioned, the committee already has them as a top 8 team. That's an important mark when it comes to the seeding for the postseason, to try to earn that bye and be able to host that second weekend. Salukis are trying to get into that conversation. And look, there are a lot of great things, especially in recent years. We know the injuries last year. That plays a factor in the numbers that I'm about to bring out. But Southern has now lost 10 straight ranked games within the Missouri Valley Football Conference. This is a huge game that goes on the resume in terms of how it looks from the postseason. I know right now not everyone's thinking about down the road the postseason. That's what coaches and players don't do. But we do in terms of looking at the profile.
You have to look at that number 7. You have to have 7 FCS wins. And depending on who they're against, determines where you are in that top 8 to 12 ranking.
And as we said, right now, Southern's got the non-D1 win at the start of the year. And unfortunately, SEMO and UT Martin are really having tough years right now. So you're not necessarily going to have that marquee non-con win that's going to help boost you. But there is no debate about it. This North Dakota team is a darn good team. And whether Southern wins or loses this game on Saturday, I think North Dakota is going to be a team that's going to be in the postseason. Something drastically is going to have to play out for them not to make it. They are that good. That's why it's an important game for SIU to try to take advantage here at home.
Yeah, we're in that, I used to call it validation window. More so even than last week. This is a game where, from a coaching standpoint, you throw all the outside noise out and focus on this one game. But from the outside world, it is one that it is gonna spin it one way or the other. And just same thing. You can look at who they've played, their record, blah, blah, blah. It's a even playing field, in my opinion. Going to be one of those games where you're going to have to play well. You're going to have to do all the things that you've done to win games and do it for 60 minutes.
Yeah. Well, if you were an outsider looking at the score of the game with North Dakota State, you go, oh, there they go again. North Dakota State wins it by 28 points. Really wasn't a game. Well, internally, being on that plane, being with those guys, they knew they played well enough in a lot of phases to be a lot closer than that final score was. They just didn't take care of the ball when they most needed to. But they felt much better, I think, coming back on the plane this last Saturday night than they did 2 years ago, where they were really never, ever in that game 2 years ago. Again, there was the short time frame in that first quarter where things went well a couple of years ago.
It was one possession game at halftime.
And then it just got away. This one got away self-inflicted. It wasn't anything necessarily that North Dakota State did dominating wise. So just the feeling coming back was, and you said it earlier, this is a team that Southern would like to play again because they know deep down, if they just do what they should be doing, they're right there in that last possession.
Big picture, this is what you're building for when you talk about Valley games, conference games, and you do that from way back when. Now they're coming to fruition in terms of your depth. Even what you take out of last week's game positively and continue to roll with, and what motivates you, what gives you an edge based on how you played last week's game. And I've said it all year. I think this team has a great mindset in terms of what they can be, and feel good about that, and trust the fact that, we know, we all did it. You can put your finger on why that game went the way it went last week, very, very quickly and very easily. Now, what do you do with that? How do you respond to that? And that's going to be a big thing this week against this team.
And didn't get a chance to ask DJ about it because, one, it's really a hard question for him to answer because he wasn't on staff previously. But what North Dakota's got to prove this year, it's been different. They were 0-5 a year ago on the road. The year prior to that, they were 1-4. They've been known as a team that's
been lost 8 in a row before last week's win at Youngstown.
Yeah.
Yes, and then Northern Iowa. They beat Youngstown at home.
Correct.
Yes, in the Unidome.
Yes.
They got to prove that they can do it consistently on the road. Now, they dominated Northern Iowa on the road after a little bit of a sluggish start, but they've not been good. So that is, let me do some quick math here. That is 2-11 on the road, counting this year and then their last 2 seasons. So they've not been great on the road, and they know that. They're very aware of it. I'm sure that's still probably something they carry as a chip on their shoulder as they come into this weekend. They're also looking for that validation as well.
And Northern Iowa was played in a dome. So again, it wasn't the factors that come into play in the outdoors. And if things do hold true to where they look like they're going to hold true for Saturday, the wind could be crazy. It could be pouring rain. There could be all kinds of things that, number one, they're not used to playing in at all. And not that Southern's used to it, but it's more likely that we've seen those type of things because we've seen this team practice in the rain this year, all those things where North Dakota just goes, all right, we're in the dome, 70 degrees. Let's do it.
It's the biggest game of the year because it's
the next
week's game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it will be a big one on Saturday. We hope you will bear the weather with us on Saturday. We hope it's going to be a gorgeous day. We'll know more as we continue to trek along. Kickoff will be at 2:00. Finally, an afternoon game at Saluki Stadium after getting those night lights some work. I think the lights are still going to be at work on Saturday with some potential overcast and rainy weather. We will talk to you then on Saturday. Again, we'll have our video preview coming out on Friday as well. But for now, big thank you to DJ Davis for taking time to join us. Of course, now the running back coach at North Dakota. For our coach, Pat Pullen, for Mike Trude, I am Luke Martin, saying so long, Saluki Nation. We will see you this weekend at Saluki Stadium. Go Dogs!
This has been Saluki Royalty, the official podcast for Saluki Athletics. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review however you listen. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Saluki Sports Network.